Welcome to the crypto call. It's Tuesday night, 6:30 in the Eastern, August 31st, 2021. All right. So what's cool is in this room, I know we got a little bit of experience with crypto, but I'm sure not everyone knows exactly what a blockchain is and how a blockchain works. So who doesn't know how a blockchain works? Rock and roll. All right. So before I explain it to you, I'm going to give you the most awesome visual graphic that I stumbled across a couple days ago. So hold on, let me share the screen, and you can see the awesomeness that is this infographic. There you go, crushing it with crypto. I like that name. Mike's coming up with good ideas already. Share screen. We're going to go with this screen. Let's see what happens. You guys see a little cartoon?
Yeah.
How cool is that? All right, so I'm going to close these stats here. All these stats are basically telling you is the transaction times, the confirmations, and all this other Chinese stuff that you have to get into the weeds for. It's even showing you like the medium price of each transfer. So on the left, I have Ethereum. On the right, I have Bitcoin. Obviously, you can see Bitcoin is stacking a bit more and has a longer timeline. As we know, Bitcoin processes a lot slower than Ethereum. Both of these blockchains are actually what they call proof of work. Ethereum's trying to get away from that because that's why they have so many problems with the congestion and the really high costs to do transactions during peak times. But I'll get into the different blockchains in a minute. So this thing is super cool though, because it gives you a visual representation of essentially what's going on. So like all these little South Park looking people, that represents a transaction. So like every single person is a transaction, and they're coming from all different places. So like those of you guys that like are familiar with MetaMask, you'll see this is the MetaMask icon here. So anything that comes from here is basically a transaction that was sent from a MetaMask wallet.
Wait, what are you pointing at?
Do you not see my thing?
I don't see. I can't see
my cursor.
It's on the left side where the mask is, where the fox is.
There it is.
There you go. I'm circling. So yeah, so that's one example. Over here, you see with the horse, the unicorn, that's Uniswap, which is a DeFi platform. So, you see people doing transactions there, and then off they go and they pile in. And then each little train car is basically a block. So you see they piled in and went. So when it takes off, basically that means that block produced. So like this confirmation is in 13 seconds. So this block's going to basically produce in 13 seconds, and all the transactions that are on that block are essentially going to get processed. So if you've done a crypto transaction and it's in that block, that's when it would actually push through. So it's just a really cool representation to kind of just see how simplistic the blockchain actually is. And as you can see, Bitcoin has larger cars because larger blocks and 10 minutes, so which is pretty standard for Bitcoin. So I thought that was pretty cool. I discovered a couple days and wanted to share it. So does that make sense in terms of how a blockchain works? Pretty simple, right?
Totally.
Awesome. All right. Well, if anyone's got any questions, you let me know. Feel free to speak up.
Mitch.
Yes.
So whenever I hear like tech people talk about cryptocurrency, they'll always say, well, there's all these cryptocurrencies out there. We don't know which one of them is going to be the one that will be one of the future, but blockchain itself could change business forever. Like
it already has.
So what's that?
I said it kind of already has.
Right. And so like what, is there like a practical application, like example of like how blockchain has changed business and that like the layman could understand?
I mean, the easiest thing that I like to mention usually is how like IBM uses blockchain. Like that's the thing that people don't realize. There's so many major corporations that have used blockchain for years. It's just a private blockchain. It's in-house. They control it. It's basically centralized. And IBM, for instance, uses it for logistics. So everything from, tracking produce to meat to, even, whatever, dry goods, clothing. Um, by using a blockchain, you essentially are, what's the word I'm looking for? You're just cleaning up, you're cleaning it up really. Like it makes it clean because you're not losing anything throughout the process because it's not like you're connecting several systems. It's not like you have different databases. Like it's one blockchain and it just goes, soup to nuts. As opposed to, when you're using a bunch of different softwares, which happens all the time. Anyone who's worked in corporate finance knows this. When I was in, corporate IT, I mean, we had three different softwares to essentially do reporting and produce the books and give the financial analysts what they needed to create reports. And there's always going to be something lost in translation, In fact, I remember we used to have a threshold in terms of dollar value that we could like, it could be off. And it was like anything like under $1,000, like don't worry about it, push forward because, it was like a multi-billion-dollar company. So it's like that's a rounding error, so to speak. Like you literally have none of that anymore, and that's why also I think blockchain is going to, and I'm already starting to see companies push it. Real estate, chain of title, blockchain. I mean, think about all the issues you run into with titles where either something can't be found, something didn't get cleared right. Like that, why is that going to exist ever if you have chain of title on a blockchain? All the data is going to be there. It'll be there forever and everyone has access to it. So, like I said, the difference between the two is in-house is centralized and basically public is decentralized. And that's how essentially Bitcoin and Ethereum and everything else functions. And that's why you see these crazy stories sometimes about like Ethereum, for instance, a couple of days ago, they said the Ethereum chain split. And it's like, wait, what? What happened? It split into two chains? How the F did that happen? And all it is a temporary issue because majority of the nodes, which is essentially what, or validators, depending on what, type of blockchain, the majority of these people didn't update. They didn't do a software. They basically didn't do a software update. So that's a negative when it comes to decentralization. In a centralized environment, that's not going to happen. You're going to have, bosses and managers say, all right, XYZ's got to get done. We have to get this updated. When you just have a bunch of people spread out all over the world, there's no one breathing down their neck to say, hey, you got to get this done. Or, there's no guarantee that someone that is a validator or that's running a node is, going to have their shit together. You know what I mean? Like they might have it on autopilot and then when stuff blows up, like, all right, let me update it now. So that's why, decentralization, I think, has a problem of almost like too many cooks in the kitchen, right? But with anything else, you have like that good, the good and the bad. There's going to be pros and cons to everything. There's pros to centralization and, there's pros to decentralization. It's just more so, I guess, a point of view. And those that want to be in control of their money, are rooting for decentralization. So what you call it? What I want to share with you guys is basically there's two main types of blockchains. And it's funny, I actually wish I had this infographic, but I don't. So I'm just going to explain it to you. And I will just throw the words up for you. On a plain Jane Word document. All right, so in big letters, you see proof of stake and proof of work. These are the two most common blockchains, and Bitcoin and Ethereum, as I mentioned earlier, are proof of work blockchains, which are really not efficient and use a crap ton of computing power. And that's one of the big knocks on Bitcoin. And anyone that's trying to be environmentally friendly isn't a fan of proof of work because of the amount of energy it burns up. And it's a lot, like it's next level. So proof of work is kind of like the old guard. It was, it was the beginning. It was what Bitcoin was. It started the whole thing. And then essentially what's happened is there's been improvements and better blockchains made. And proof of stake is one of those. And proof of stake is blockchains like Hive. I'm trying to think what else is proof of stake. quite a few. That's what Ethereum's switching to for the ETH 2.0 that has been talked about for a couple of years now. They're trying to convert to proof of stake, because what happens with proof of stake is you essentially are just validating transactions instead of mining. And with proof of work, you get rewarded for doing work. So like when someone earns Bitcoin, like Bitcoin miners, what's happening is they're solving the, algorithm puzzle with their, ridiculous computers with crazy, computing power. And when they solve one of those equations, right, it produces a block, right? So then the transactions get produced, and then they get rewarded with X amount of Bitcoin, right? Which keeps getting smaller and smaller with each halving event. With proof of stake, it's no longer about essentially computing power and the work you put in. It's basically skin in the game. So for instance, on the Hive blockchain, which is where Leo Finance runs on, the more stake you hold, the more influence you have on that platform. And with Hive, what happens is they have witnesses, they call them, that run the transactions. And the top 20 witnesses are basically the ones that are essentially getting paid to do it. Like they're making worthwhile money in terms of they get high rewards that are generally profitable. And they're getting awarded blocks to validate and produce. Outside of the top 20, you might get a block here or there, but it's top 20 validators. And then if you're in the top 50, you can occasionally get a block to validate. So it's a different a model, but it eats up way less computing power and is 10 times more efficient and cheaper, because when you see like Binance Smart Chain is a proof of stake, and on that, the fees are a fraction of what they are on Ethereum, and the blocks produce so much faster. So that's kind of the easy big difference between the two. And it's all relative too, because like, looking, oh, it says my thing is paused. What happened? I thought I was going to show my thing. Let's try this again. There we go. Boom. And that's why when you look at like this little cartoon infographic, Ethereum seems so fast compared to Bitcoin, but the irony is Ethereum's sort of slow relative to like Binance Smart Chain or Hive, because or even Polygon for that matter, because again, proof of work versus proof of stake. So that's the simplicity of blockchains. As far as different crypto coins and all that stuff, there's so many out there that you could never know all of them. And the advice I can give in regards to that is find a few that do something that you think makes sense and focus on those. And then you can kind of go from there.
Yeah, Mitch, why doesn't Coinbase allow you to buy Binance coin?
Because the U.S. hates crypto. I mean, I say that kidding, but it's also kind of the actual answer. So in the US, you essentially, there's different types of coins. So anything that's an Ethereum-based coin is called an ERC20 coin. And anything that is Binance chain-based is either a BEP2 or a BEP20. And you essentially can't get BEP2 or BEP20 coins in the US. And it's essentially because Binance Smart Chain is not, I don't want to say it's not US based. It's just basically banned by the US. So like there's Binance.us, which people are like, oh, I can get on Binance. You can, but you're not going to get any BEP20 tokens there. You're only going to get ERC20 tokens. And that's a whole nother, story about, wrapping tokens on different blockchains and, what types are allowed or not. But yeah, Coinbase is essentially Bitcoin and Ethereum and all the coins that are on Ethereum, which are basically ERC20 coins. So like stable coins, which is, the equivalent of $1. USDC is on Coinbase. That is an ERC20 coin. So like USDC is a Ethereum based stable coin. So, and almost every blockchain has a stable coin. Like Binance Smart Chain has BUSD. And then there's several others like DAI. And then crap, I just drew a blank on what the fourth one was. Anyway, there's more than four anyway. So, but there's like kind of like the big four. So, yes, Mike, Polygon for the Matic, correct. And that's the thing too. You generally have a token or coin that is what each blockchain, processes with. So like with Ethereum, if you do a transaction on Ethereum, you pay a gas fee is what it's called. And that gas fee is paid in Ethereum, even if you're doing a transaction, let's say in USDC. So you need to know the token that's related to each blockchain. So same thing with like Binance Smart Chain, you can use Binance Coin, and Polygon, you can use Matic, and, Hive, you're going to use Hive, and so on and so forth. Every blockchain has their native token, and then they have the tokens that are on there, which generally are called wrap tokens, until we get blockchains that are basically interoperable, which is happening. There's a blockchain called Rune that's working on that, where you're going to be able to use your native Bitcoin or native Ethereum and actually put it on that blockchain, as opposed to having to flip it into what they call a wrapped version of it, which is just that blockchain's version of it. So like, you can find Bitcoin on Ethereum, it'll be WBTC. So it'll be basically wrapped Bitcoin. And that's where a lot of people start getting lost. And it's really not something that you even have to get involved in if you want to own crypto. You can just go on Coinbase, you can buy some Bitcoin, you can buy some Ethereum, and then some smaller ones you want to have fun with, and call it a day. You really don't have to get involved in the wrap stuff until you're getting further down the rabbit hole and maybe getting to the decentralized finance, aka DeFi. And that's really where a lot of this crypto staking is going, where you can kind of stake your crypto and earn dividends and all that good stuff. So that is kind of down the rabbit hole though. So the other thing I want to show you guys, while we got a few minutes here, is the beauty of the blockchain with the fact that you can do what you would do normally on social media and actually earn money doing it. So let me share this out. So what you're looking at is leofinance.io, and what Leo Finance is basically a financial related blogging site that runs on top of the Hive blockchain, which is a proof of stake blockchain. And on this, you can basically post content and earn crypto. So if you'll see like here on the front page, people posting about stuff going on in the crypto world, and they're actually earning money. So like this obviously is a featured post, so it's done pretty well. And, $42 for creating a blog post, and that gets paid out in the Leo tokens. So just another crypto. Obviously, it's a crypto that you can either sell and take the money, or you can continue to stack, and you could basically stake this token. Like I said, this is a proof of stake blockchain. So by staking that token, it gives you clout on the blockchain, and then you can essentially vote on other people's stuff. And if you vote on other people's stuff, the more stake you have, the bigger your vote. And usually that helps in terms of getting a following. And then you get a piece of that. So you actually get rewarded for voting on other people's posts, because half of the payouts go to the author. The other half goes to the people that actually curated it, as they say, curation. And you get that payout. So it's pretty cool. So just another way to earn crypto for someone that creates content. Interesting stuff. I'm going to randomly vote on a post right now. And then you see the little heart lit up, because now I've added to that post. And it shows all the different people that voted, what they're worth. It's pretty cool stuff. That pretty much sums up the little blockchain overview and introduction to some useful crypto sites. Leo Finance, I'll drop a link into that if anyone's interested in participating on that site, you can open an account. You can actually open an account with Twitter. They have options. There's a few options on that. One of them is Twitter. Also, there's an Alchemist Nation account on Leo Finance, and I will be using that to vote the posts of anyone from the community that ends up posting on Leo Finance. So for any of the content creators out there, slap it up there if it's financial related. Doesn't have to be crypto, anything financial related, real estate, crypto, finances, wealth building, you name it. And you can earn a
Yeah.
little Leo.
Yeah, it's totally worth it. I yeah, I think I earned somewhere close to 50 to 100 Leo a day. Just like when I'm actually posting. If I'm not actually posting, it's somewhere around 40 Leo a day. Thanks to Mitch doing all the voting for us. But I got like, 64,000 Leo out there right now, which, the more you have staked, the more you earn. And Mitch is just really, he's active every day. So I follow and I trail his votes